In this short video, you'll learn 6 proven and ready-made business models that you can use to multiply your money right from the comfort of your own home today. Big claim, I know. So I'll back it up with a few examples from my own reselling business here in a second for each of those specific business models that we'll cover, and that way you can see exactly how I make money doing it, and you can replicate that and get similar results for yourself. By the end of this video, you'll see countless examples of how I purchased products in one place and then resold them back online for profit in another. You'll understand what it takes for anyone to start and scale each one of these business models, as well as which one or which ones are probably best for you and your situation. There's many ways to make money reselling products back online, but some will definitely fit you better than others. The first one we're gonna go over is super beginner friendly and one of the easiest ones for anyone to start, and that's coupon arbitrage. So to outline the coupon arbitrage business model, it's pretty self-explanatory, and really what you're gonna do is you're gonna be buying from Amazon, but before you buy from Amazon, you're going to be going directly to the seller first and getting a coupon code to purchase that product at 95% off or 90% off or whatever the coupon code specifically is, right? So let's say an item retails for $20 on Amazon, you go to the seller originally, you get a coupon code to purchase it for like $2, right? So then you're spending $2 with the coupon code on Amazon to get a product that has a retail value of $20. And then obviously you're into it and have a potential profit margin of $18. Now I don't recommend reselling these coupon products back on Amazon. That's something I've covered in droves in other videos, so obviously I won't touch on it specifically here, but I do recommend that you relist them and resell them back on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, okay? Now this is a super easy business model to get into for beginners. So if you have $5, if you have $10, if you have $20, if you have $50, $100, whatever it is, you can buy super cheap products and that have retail values and good profit margins right to your door, relist them, and start kind of netting a good profit margin, right? So that's a benefit of it. You don't have to spend a lot of money into it. It's perfect for beginners. And a drawback really though is it's really difficult to scale, because while you can get coupon products relatively easy on a number of the sites that we'll cover, one of the things that is difficult about it is you have to continuously get those products, right? So it's not like wholesale or like something that's more scalable where you're buying something and then buying a bunch of it. You have to go to the site, get a coupon code, buy a product. Go to the site, get a coupon code, buy a product. And for that reason, it's a little bit more difficult to scale long term, but it is perfect for people that are just starting and really kind of want to build up an initial nest egg. Maybe it's like a couple $100 to $1,000 to invest in a more scalable business. So we're gonna hop into the coupon arbitrage case study here in a second. I'm gonna show you an example of about 10 products that I purchased on coupon websites and then I resold back online and the profit margins that I made. Now keep in mind that for each one of these specific business models, I'm only going to go through about 10 products or so, because at the end of the day I could sit here and go on and on and on, but I don't want to keep you here for hours. There's countless tutorials that you can watch on my YouTube channel where I go through how to source these, the differences of those and certain products and examples that I've sold, but just to kind of give you some examples of how you can monetize this, make money doing it, and certain examples of products that I've purchased and how much I've made on them. Now keep in mind, one of the benefits, like I said, is you don't have to actually spend that much into these products, but you can make immediate money fairly quickly because it's a low risk business model. Perfect for beginners, okay? So here's an example of a product that I purchased. You'll see I've applied the coupon code. I actually purchased 3 of these, so most of them are gonna be like single one-off units, and you can see exactly what my cost of them is. But for this one, I purchased 3 of these because every once in a while I'll purchase multiples if it allows me to do so with a coupon code. Every single time I get a coupon code, I check if the product's selling well, if I can purchase multiples of them, and then sometimes I do, but that's rare, okay? I don't usually do that. So it looks like right here for 3 of these in my cart, it was about $45. Ended up applying the promotion for about $36. Grand total for 3 of them was $8.99, and obviously $8.99 ends up being about $2.99 per unit. So here's an example of one of these. I actually bought a bunch more of these the second go round because I usually check to see if there's more coupon codes on that. If I see a product selling well, I'll try to grab more of it, okay? So I think I've sold honestly almost 10 of these. They flip like candy on Poshmark and Mercari, but here you can clearly see an example of how I made $11.41. After selling fees, it sold for $16. So obviously if you take $11.41, you take the $2.99 out of it, then that's a decent profit margin of maybe like $9, okay? That's an example right there. Now here's another one, right? This one's a little bit of a higher profit margin. Now, typically speaking, and this is an example you'll see in many cases, whether it's coupon arbitrage or cashback arbitrage, for whatever reason, electronics sell very, very well on Mercari, okay? So here's an example of one that I bought on a coupon website. Now, it was retailed for about 38 bucks. I used a coupon code for about 30 bucks, and bam, got it for $8 to my door. Relisted it on Mercari, ended up selling it for 41 bucks, and netted $31.91 after fees. So if you take the $8 out of that, that might be like a $24 profit margin, okay? Now, that's loosey-goosey math. I didn't really add it up, but it might be $25, might be $22. Regardless, very, very easy, very, very low risk. Here's another example of one, right? This is another example of baby monthly milestone stickers. I actually bought a bunch of these as well, and I could pull up other examples of these, but this one is 18 bucks or $18.95 or $17.95, excuse me. Promotional code was 1616, ended up getting it for $190 to my door. Sold this on Mercari as well for 17 bucks and ended up netting $12.31 after fees on there, right? Then obviously you take the $190 off of that, what you initially spent, and boom, you might have a little like a $10.50 profit margin roughly, or $10.40 or whatever that is. So another pretty solid example. Here's another one that I bought a bunch of. Now these flipped like crazy. I bought like 15 of these, not all at once, right? I bought 5 and then I bought 5 more and then about 5 more, and they would flip so fast on both Poshmark and Mercari, and you know, I just kept buying more. So I'm on the lookout for these. If you see them, grab them as well. But here's an example. I bought 5 of these. Total was 70 bucks in my cart. All the promotional codes applied to these for 5 a piece was about 60 bucks. Ended up paying for 5 of these was $11.09, which comes out to $2.21 per unit for each of these to my door. Okay, here's an example of one that I sold for 19 bucks. Ended up making $14.11 on it after fees, and then bam, you obviously get the profit margin. So that one sale covered all of them, but then obviously I sold all 4 more of them. So this one sale might have netted me like 12 bucks or something like that. Okay. Here's another example, okay? So a maternity belly band. Now, this was 14 bucks roughly with the coupon code. Now, this gift card might have been on my account because I have a Discover It card. One of the things that I preach, you know, to a lot of my students is use a cashback credit card, because you might as well build up cash back while you're spending this money on Amazon anyway. 2 of the best examples of a cashback credit card that's going to rack you up 5% cash back when you're spending already on Amazon. A lot of the books that I spend are going to be on Amazon if they're used. A lot of the cashback products, in fact, every cashback product is on Amazon. Every cashback product's on coupon. So I'm already spending thousands of dollars on Amazon sourcing products, regardless of the business model. You know, there's other business models, obviously, where I'm not spending money on Amazon. But for these right here, I'm already spending thousands, so I might as well make more money on a cashback credit card. So anytime you see a gift amount right here, that's simply my Discover It card racking the cash back up. So the Discover It card, the Amazon store card, both 5% cash back on all Amazon purchases. Great places to start for beginners, okay? So this did end up costing me $3.49, but that's just cash back off my card that I got for free, obviously, for using a cashback credit card, okay? Now, $3.49, you can assume, because that's without the cashback, I ended up selling it for 13 bucks right here after fee, or sorry, 20 bucks, 13 bucks was the profit margin here. So basically a $10 profit margin or a $9.50 profit margin after everything, right? After the cost of the product, after the fees. Now, this is another example. Source this one, it was $11.99 was the retail value. Ended up after the promotional code, which is the coupon code on the coupon website, for $140. Ended up selling it for 15 bucks. After fees right here, ended up netting $9.25. So this one was a little bit lower, maybe like an $8 profit margin right there. Another example right here is iPhone 11. So this one was roughly 10 bucks with the promotional code. It looked like this one was a little bit higher. So this one was $4.20. Just kind of shows you that sometimes you're going to get, you know, coupon codes to purchase it for like 50 cents. Sometimes you're going to get coupon codes to purchase it for like $10. Sometimes you're going to get coupon codes to purchase them for like $1 or $2, right? It really depends on the seller. And obviously when you hop on the coupon sites, you can make those judgment calls for yourself. Obviously, the name of the game is just sourcing cheap inventory that you know is going to sell, okay? So for this one specifically, it's about, what is that, like a $6 profit margin? So not the worst in the world. It was cheap to fulfill as well, but just an example of another product. Now, here's another one, right? Fireproof document bag. So this one was $8.99 with the promotional code. I ended up getting it for $2.86. Sold it back on, this one looks like it's on Poshmark this time for 15 bucks. With the Poshmark fee, after the selling fee, obviously 12 bucks right there that I netted. So then obviously that becomes like a $9.20 profit margin roughly. Another example right here. So this is another Poshmark one. Waterless car wash waxing kit. So This one was $22.47 for retail with the promotional code and the coupon code from the site. Ended up only paying $3.57 for this to my door. Listed it on Poshmark. Bam, sold it for $21 after the fees. $16.80 profit margin. So total, you can do the math. That might be like a $12 profit margin, $12.50. I'm not 100% sure, okay? Now, what I do generally recommend before we get into this next example is track everything. So even if you're doing something simple like coupon arbitrage, or you're scaling something up like liquidation and you're doing your own inventory, or you're doing something more scalable like wholesale or the book reselling arbitrage, right? Or like retail sites or something like that. I always recommend to track it. Now, you don't have to track everything forever, although you probably want to, but it's a good idea at least to track it in the beginning, because once you prove the concept to yourself and you see that you're profitable, then it's just about going out and replicating that process. So you do want to track everything just to kind of make sure that you have everything down initially and you're not leaving some costs out that you might be overlooking, okay? So just a little caveat, a little bonus tip. So this black plant flower pot or whatever was $20 with the promotional code. It was $3.18. Ended up selling it on Poshmark for $12, netting $9. So this one only netted me about $6 profit margin, but it's another example of a good product. So let's move on to the next part in the case study, and that's going to be cashback arbitrage. Now, cashback arbitrage is a very similar business model to the coupon arbitrage. It's just got a little slight difference and change in the actual way that the business model is performed, okay? So here we go with you, that's you, and instead of going through the seller first and getting the coupon code, you're going to actually purchase the product on Amazon first and then get cash back from the seller, okay? So it's very, very similar in the fact that you don't actually have to spend a lot of money initially into inventory. You can kind of build up a good quality base of inventory very, very cheap. So even if you have like 50 to $100, you can buy a couple of items, get your cash back, and then reinvest all that same money back into those same items, right? And that as you build up more and more items, you can list more and more items for sale and slowly kind of multiply your money that way, okay? One of the drawbacks obviously is that you don't have to spend you're not spending like $2 or $3 with a coupon code, right? You're spending it for the original retail value and then waiting to get your cash back. Now, with the sites that I usually recommend, some of them can be up to 35 days with the cash back, but for I think the top 5 sites that I'm thinking of, the majority of them, you're gonna get that cash back within usually it's a couple days to like a week, right? So you're not waiting very long for the majority of them as well. But if you want to open up more sites and more potential, spots to get those products from, then you can even go to the sites that give you like 35 days cash back with quality inventory, right? So that's really up to you. But essentially, so what you're doing is, to outline the business model again, is maybe you're paying like $20 retail for a product on Amazon. So it's $20 out of pocket. You're getting $20 back from the seller. So then you're obviously into a free product. You spent $20 originally, you're getting $20 back. And then you have that $20 retail value product to sell on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari, okay? I also don't recommend selling the cashback products back on Amazon. I'm not going to cover that in this specific video because I have countless examples and tutorials on why I don't recommend that on my YouTube channel if you're interested. So that's the business model in a nutshell. Very, very similar. Now, the benefits of it, obviously, like I said, is you don't have to spend a lot initially. Now, some of the drawbacks, obviously, are that it's a little bit more difficult to scale up because you can't really go gung-ho into cashback products and review like thousands of products initially, because that's going to tick off Amazon's algorithm, okay? And it's going to look bad if you're reviewing a bunch of products. It's going to be super obvious, okay? So you kind of have to play that kind of, that balance game, review enough products, but also kind of it helps to get cashback products as well, or other products like books, for example, that you're not reviewing, so it kind of balances it out. So it's a really great business model for beginners, but it is difficult to scale very, very quickly. So let's jump into some examples of these products here with this case study, okay? Here's an example of a product that I bought right here. You can see $15.69. Well, I got $15.69 cash back there. Now this doesn't count maybe a potential PayPal fee, or like we said, some of maybe the sales tax that I might have paid on it. So assume that maybe this is I'm getting 95% cash back, but regardless, it's still almost 100%. It's super, super low, okay? And like I said before, that's not for every product. It depends on the seller. It really depends seller to seller at the end of the day, okay? So got this for free pretty much. Ended up selling this back on Mercari for $19. After the fees, I netted $12.11 on this product. Here's another example. Ended up spending $29.95 out of pocket for this. So keep in mind, I'm also getting paid cash back on this. So if you're using a cashback credit card that's paying you 5%, well, then you're pretty much netting it even if you're paying a slight PayPal fee or slight tax as well, because you're also getting that counterbalance of, yeah, you're going down a little bit with the fee, but then you're going right back up a little bit with the cashback, right? So it helps net you in the end, and you end up pretty much paying next to nothing and getting a free product. Okay, so I paid $29.95 for this, got $29.95 back, ended up selling for 25 bucks. After fees netted $17.51. Here's another example. Laptop tote bag right here, spent $29.99, ended up getting $29.99 back. Listed it on Mercari, obviously, sold it, and after fees netted $10.95. Another example, bought this one for $21.99. $21.99 got back, so I'm into a product for free. Bam, sold this on Mercari as well for 26 bucks, ended up netting $19.15. Another example, bought this two-pack of wireless Bluetooth controllers. I went on a spree with these for whatever reason during, I think it was like right before Christmas. There was like a bunch of these on the cashback sites. I just grabbed like every controller I could see possible because they were selling super, super quickly and for ridiculous profit margins. So I just grabbed a couple examples, I think, for this specific case study, but there are probably dozens of them that I sold. So if you see these, they flip like candy on Mercari. Remember, like I said, for whatever reason, electronics seem to flip super easily on Mercari. So test it out for yourself and you will see that it works. Now, spent $28.99 for this 2-pack, got $28.99 back, obviously into a free product, sold it for 30 bucks after fees, ended up netting $22.75 on this one. Here's another example one. This one is a little bit lower, so it's only 1-pack. Ended up spending $11.99. It's obviously a private label brand, right? So it's not like a PS4 or a PS3 branded one, but it still probably connects to those. Looks like PS3. Got a free, so I actually ended up paying $1 for this. So here's an example of one that you can literally see. I was like sourcing these just whatever I possibly could. I was sourcing more controllers because they were selling so quickly and so well that I didn't actually go after 100% margin here. I went after probably like a 90% margin, right? So I paid $11.99. I only got $10.99 back in rebate. So I ended up paying $1 out of pocket, maybe plus some of the fees here and there, but then I got 5% cash back on that purchase, so it all kind of evens out, okay? So might have spent like 50 cents to $1 into this total, and then ended up listing it, selling it for 17 bucks, boom, ended up netting $11.05, or maybe like $10.50 or 10 bucks, okay? Here's another example. So interior car lights. These are big in a lot of Uber and Lyft drivers for whatever reason, but they flip like candy on Mercari as well. $14.97, ended up getting a free product after the rebate. 19 bucks is what I sold it for on Mercari, and ended up netting $12.85 profit margin. Another example. More examples of electronics flipping on Mercari super fast. So this is another one right here. Now this one's on a different website, so you don't see the rebate, but it's 100% rebate on these sites. I never on this website go after products that, well, I shouldn't say never. I have a couple times, but most of the times these are 100% rebates. So spent $28.99, got rebated that $28.99 back, listed it, sold it for 24 bucks, and ended up with $17.35 for free. Now imagine, guys, like if you had these tools in your arsenal, you could literally just replicate this process, and we can all use an extra, even if you don't scale it up significantly, like we can all use an extra couple $100 every month doing this super simply with no risk, right? You're buying products, you're getting the rebate back, or if you're doing coupon products, you're literally spending super cheap into inventory, and then once those sell, obviously, it's like free cash flow, free money every month. So this is a tool that's gonna, really reward you for the months and years to come. You should lock it down now, and that way you can utilize it immediately to make money from your house. So here's another example of one. It's a lightweight jacket that's a windproof raincoat or waterproof raincoat. 40 bucks, ended up getting the rebate back, sold it for 24 bucks on Mercari, ended up netting $16.35. Another example of another electronic. So this one I purchased for $23.99. It was a CD drive, external CD drive. Got the rebate, ended up selling it for 28 bucks, which was more than the actual retail value on Amazon. Ended up netting $19.95 after fees.
Now, moving on to liquidation, which is the next business model. So to sum up liquidation, essentially what it is you're getting cheap and high quality branded liquidation products from websites that are getting them from retail stores or top brands super, super cheap, right? So it benefits everybody, but let me outline that here in a second after I outline the business model. So maybe a retail store like Walmart, for example, that's one that I always use as an example, but it could be Target, it could be a number of retail sites or top brands just selling off their excess inventory. So Walmart sells it to a liquidation site, which sells it to you. You're getting a lot of quality branded inventory super cheap, and you can resell these back on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari. You can also sell them back on Amazon, okay? Although specifically in this case study right here, I'm not gonna cover any of the Amazon examples, although you can also use software to source liquidation for Amazon and resell it that way, okay? But I'm gonna actually source a lot of my liquidation personally, in most cases, to resell back on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and build up my own base of quality inventory, because the name of the game becomes the more inventory you build, the more obviously that you'll start to see those steady payments and that steady profit margin every month, right? People always ask me, like, how can you make X amount on Poshmark? Or how can you make X amount a month on eBay, right? And it's like, you need to build up a store with good quality inventory so that it slowly sells off that much, right? If you want to make $1,000 a month on Poshmark or $1,000 a month on eBay profit, well, chances are you at least need $1,000 in MSRP value in your store, okay? One of the easiest ways to do that for super, super cheap is liquidation, right? So essentially what would happen if Walmart, for example, has a bunch, let's say they bought like 1,000 of a certain unit, but it's not selling as fast as they anticipated, right? So maybe instead they sold 250 and they still have 750 left. So maybe they sell 500 of that so that they only have 250 left at the back of their store. So they free up warehouse space potentially, and they also free up shelf space, and they still make a little bit of margin on what would have been lost margin in general, right? Or takes it longer to sell, right? So that they can sell other products that are gonna move faster in that specific instance, right? So what happens is they sell it off super cheap to a liquidation company who marks it up very, very slightly and sells it to you and me, okay? And we can take that and make good money on that very, very easily. So let's jump into the case study, and I'll show you an example of how to get quality pallets super, super cheap, which you can make money on, and then get quality inventory and build up your store.
All right, so we're gonna go over 2 quick case studies for liquidation arbitrage here. Now, these are the ones that I'm gonna go over really fast. Let me just kind of refresh it to show you that these aren't just like kind of there. So this is an example of a lot that I bought. It's NBA, Seattle Supersonics. So this is like retro clothing. $58 for this lot. End up having 35 units in the lot for $166 roughly per unit. So here's examples of all those specific pieces of clothing and the quantity and how much I actually paid for them all. But that's the unit in its entirety. Okay, another example of one, $68 right here, 42 units in there. Ended up being $1.62 per unit. Okay, there's a bunch of different examples of those products, how much in quantity there are, the ASINs corresponding on Amazon, although keep in mind, like I said, these specific examples are not ones that I'm reselling on Amazon, okay? So case study number 1 is the Nuggets apparel palette. Now, this, when you're sourcing liquidation, the name of the game is just building out quality inventory, like I said, and being patient, right? You want to build up a store of quality inventory, because the more quality inventory you can build up and list for sale, the more cash flow and profit you will start to see coming in consistently every single month, right? So typically speaking, the more inventory that you have and the more listed, the more you will be selling and the more you'll profit. So maybe that's like $100 the first month, then it's like a couple $100 a second. As you build up more and more inventory slowly, you'll start to see that cash flow from the profit every month becoming a few $1,000s if you have enough inventory. So the name of the game is acquiring inventory, listing it high, and being patient. Now, from this first apparel, like I showed you, here's 6 examples of the things that I've sold so far right now. I believe it's only been like 2 months since I bought that pallet, but ended up selling this one right here for $36, netting $28.80. This one right here for $44, netting $35.20. This one right here for $28, netting $22.40. $45, netting $36. $25, netting $20. And $19, netting $12.11. Okay, so that's an example of 6 of those that I've sold right there. Some of them where it looks like all these are Mercari except one, or sorry, all these are Poshmark except one is Mercari. Now right here, like we covered, I spent $68 on this pallet. There were total 42 units in that pallet, right? So the price per unit originally was $1.62. Total units that I've sold currently to this point is only 6 of those, okay? So out of those 42, I've only sold 6 of them, but I've profited $154.51 from that currently, okay? So my current net profit on this pallet, it's been about 2 months, is $86.51, so nothing crazy, nothing to write home about, but I still have 36 units left to sell that will be 100% profit margin, that are literally sitting in my store that I can afford to be patient on and list high and be patient to make that money and have that slow, steady drip of cash flow, right? It's about building quality inventory in your store, being patient, and then letting it sell so you can get those consistent profit payouts, okay? So to recap, currently netting about $86.51 after obviously paying the $68 on it, and I still have 36 freaking units to sell.
Case study 2, this is not like abnormal, but it's literally rinse and repeat, right? So you buy a liquidation arbitrage pallet and you list it, you make a little bit of money, net your money back, and then you have extra units that you can obviously be patient on and sell for a profit margin over time. And as you build that out, you'll have more and more inventory, and it'll start to be more and more of a better store that's cash flowing you more and more profit every single month. So case study number 2 is that Supersonics apparel pallet. So it looks like I only sold 5 in this one so far, and I think this one's been a little bit over a month or a little bit under a month. We'll have to see in a second. But so this one's $19. Ended up netting $15.20 on it. This one I sold for $52. Ended up netting $41.60 on it. This one, it looks like I sold another one for $52, $41.60 on it, and this one I sold for $40, netted $32. This one I sold for $22 and netted $17.60. So when that all is said and done, here's a snapshot of the pallet, obviously, that I paid for. I paid $58. There was 35 units total in that pallet. Ended up being about $1.66 per unit when I actually factored that out. I only sold 5 of those 35 units so far, right? Only 5 of those 35 units. It's only been about a month and a half. And the total profit from those sales is about $148, okay? So that means that I've currently netted $90 from this pallet when you take $148, what I've profited so far in a month and a half, and deduct the $58 that I spent on it, okay? So that's roughly, 150% ROI on my money in about a month and a half, right? But then the key factor here is I still have 30 units to sell for 100% profit margin.
Now, there's many ways to source through books, and I use software to do it, but the simplest one to explain to you is what basically you're gonna sit, and this is my handy dandy computer, great drawing as you can see here. Basically what you're gonna use the software to do right from your computer is scan a bunch of different websites, and it's gonna compare those website prices of those books to the Amazon price, okay? Now, some of the times it's gonna scan Amazon's price as well if there's a discrepancy between FBM and FBA, right? But really all you need to know is the software is gonna scan different websites for that actual book and compare it with the price on Amazon and then spit you out those book leads, as I like to call it, right? Then you can literally use the software, scan through the book leads, and pick your books out that you like, buy them, ship them into FBA, and make the margin on it, right? It's very, very easy to use. The software does 99.9% of the work for you. Once you set it up and you kind of move the levers around, bam, you press it, you look through the books, you buy a couple, ship them into FBA, wait, collect your profit, and then reinvest that profit, obviously, get more books and scale it up that way, right? So one of the benefits, obviously, is you can automate it with the software. It's also very, very easy to leverage FBA and scale it, right? So one of the benefits as well, the profit margins are ridiculous. And on top of that, if you time it perfectly with textbook season, and there's 2 main textbook seasons, but there's also one, I believe, in the summer when kids go back to summer school. So there's 3 technically. If you time those out, you can really make a killing if you buy books a little bit before and then ship them to FBA right at textbook season. It's a great way to make money, and I highly recommend that you look into actually doing that, okay? Now, one of the drawbacks, like I did say, is you need a little bit more money, a lot like the retail or the bulk sites, or a little bit like wholesale to spend into this business model, because some of these books, while their margins are really, really great, like 50 or 100 or $200 even, and I have a few of those examples here in a second, you are spending a decent amount of money into those books, and then you need to wait maybe a week or 2, sometimes a month, depending on the book that you're actually sourcing and the bestseller rank and the sales velocity of that, to actually recoup your money and your ROI, okay? So this is more kind of geared towards people that are a little bit more serious or have a little bit more cash flow and are more interested in kind of spending that money and multiplying it, even if it's a couple weeks to a month, to see that return on their investment, right? So you're gonna get your money to work for you and you're gonna leverage FBA, but you need more money initially to kind of spend into this to get it started.
So now with the book reselling case study, this is one of my favorite business models because it's super, super easy to scale. When you're paying into these, you're paying a lot more for inventory. Like sometimes you're spending, anywhere from like $20 all the way up to $100 for a book, but it's only one piece of inventory that you have to focus on selling. So you're not spending a lot of time sending them into FBA or shipping out stuff yourself if you're doing your own fulfillment, right? You only have, the margins are so high for each specific piece of inventory, all right? Also, if you leverage textbook season and you do it properly, you can source right before textbook season and flip all of these in textbook season and make a lot of money, okay? And the software that I use literally spits all these out for you and does all the sourcing for you. $42 is what I paid for Fundamentals of Financial Management right here. Ended up selling this one back on Amazon for $262.77, right? So that's over a $200 profit margin right there. pretty solid. I don't remember how long I waited on this. It might have been a month or two. Wasn't that long. I sold a lot of books during textbook season for ridiculous ROIs, okay? And that's not like abnormal. This is like, obviously, you're not going to see a $200 profit margin every time, but like a $50 profit margin, a $100 profit margin, a $120 profit margin, nothing out of the realm of abnormal, okay? And every once in a while, you get one that's like a 200 or 300 one if you source the right book from the right place, okay? So here's examples of some used ones that I did just to show you like everyone's not like a ridiculously high ROI. Some of them will be a little bit lower. If you don't want to spend that much into books, you can go after used ones. You don't have to spend as much, but your ROI is going to be a little bit less as well, okay? So here's an example of one that I paid $14.77 for, and I literally flipped these like candy. These I guess that's 5 die functions of a team. I sold maybe, I don't even know, 15 to 20 of these. I flipped these like candy, okay? So bought these from an FBM seller on Amazon for $14.77, ended up shipping them into FBA myself and sold them for $59.21, so pretty solid margin. Same thing, bought another one, $20.12, and just kept flipping these over and over and over again. $59.21, same thing. Purchased it for $14.83, $61.41. 29. So this one I spent 2 of them, so $29.56. Then it ends up being like $15, a little bit less than that maybe. Sold one of them $60.13. Sold the other one for $56.73. So that's examples of how you can do used books as well. Here's another example of a new one, right? I sourced this one. It looks like this might have been on eBay, and that's something else that the software will spit out. It'll spit out like plenty of other textbook sites that you can source from. Sometimes Amazon if the seller's selling at FBM and the buy box price is FBA but a lot higher. And sometimes it'll be like eBay and other sites like that as well. This one looks like it's an eBay invoice, so bought this one on eBay for about $23, ended up shipping it into FBA, sold it for $115.56. That's a great profit margin as well, and a little bit more typical. Here's another one that's almost $200, but this one is typically what you're going to see, right? Like 90 to 100, that's a pretty solid flip. That's like, you know, pretty common. Now, Mosaic Coast, excuse me, bought this one for $33. This looks like another eBay invoice. Ended up selling it back on Amazon for $224.63. Okay, here's another eBay invoice. So $30 for the starting out programming. Ended up selling it back on Amazon for FBA at $101.32. Another one from eBay, $55. So this one's spending a little bit more on it. The margin's not as high, but it's still probably like a $50 profit margin after fees. Bought it for $55, ended up shipping it into FBA, and then sold it for $136.73. Okay. And here's another example of one that's a little bit lower, but it's a little bit lower risk, right? But obviously, corresponding with that, it's a little bit lower of a return on your investment because you're not risking as much into it, right? So if you're more comfortable doing these ones, you can go after the higher profit margin, but you're spending a little bit more into them sometimes. And then these, you're only spending like $10 to $12. Sometimes it's even like $5, and your margins can be good, but they're not, you know, as high as like $100 or $200 sometimes, okay? So $12 here, ended up selling it for $59.32.
Now, with the next one, which is bulk site or retail site arbitrage, right? So I'm not into retail arbitrage, which is actually going to stores and sourcing that way, but I like to source online from those retail sites with software, okay? So one of the benefits of this is that you can utilize software to literally scan all these sites and then spit those deals out, which then you can go to that website and buy them, and then you ship them into Amazon and you make money that way, okay? So to give you an example, you're gonna be sourcing from places like Walmart or Target or Best Buy or GameStop or literally anywhere, right? There's so many examples of retail websites that run deals or promotions that are super, super cheap for that specific promotion or coupon or deal or whatever, and the buy box price on Amazon is higher, and you can net that margin and that profit from buying it from the retail site and then shipping it into FBA and making the markup and profit, okay? I do this all the time, and one of the benefits is like before you actually had to go to these websites and actually manually source, which would take hours, right? And it would drive you crazy. But there are so many softwares out there that will literally do this for you now that you can literally turn the button on, source those sites, and then come back maybe like an hour or a half hour later and buy the products that you know are profitable. It's super easy to scale now with that software. Now, another great way to do it is sometimes there will be bulk sites, and I probably have about, I think like 15 of them currently. There might be a few less or a few more, give or take, like 1 or 2, right? It might be like 10 to maybe 17 sites or something like that. But regardless, what a bulk site is, what I call a bulk site is, it's basically a site that houses deals from all of these that nitpick them, right? So I'll use software to scan all these sites, but every once in a while, I'll manually source a bulk site, which is just a site that houses
all the best deals from these sites as well, okay? So that's essentially what it is. Now, some of the benefits of this are, like I said, you can automate it with software a lot of times. There's a lot of really quality products that sell super quickly. One of the drawbacks, although, is you do need a little bit of money to spend into these products. And another drawback, kind of like the book module, like we'll talk about here in a second with the book case study and the next one, is that you do actually need to get them shipped to your location first and then relabel them and ship them into FBA, right? With something like wholesale or sometimes liquidation, if you're sourcing for Amazon specifically, you can actually order those ahead of time, and from the warehouse or the liquidation site or the wholesale place, you can get them directly shipped into FBA. Whereas like with retail sites, you can't do that because Best Buy's not going to ship your product into FBA for you. So you have to order it to yourself first, package it back up, relabel it, then ship them all into FBA. So that is one of the drawbacks of it, although that's a very slight drawback, and shipping into FBA is not difficult at all. Once you get it down once, it's actually very, very easy to continue to replicate, okay? This is also perfect for somebody that wants to focus on the scaled aspect of Amazon, right? And scaling up a little bit more and multiplying their money a little bit faster. Also wants to leverage Amazon FBA and leverage automation software, but might not have thousands to throw into inventory to scale their business yet, like wholesale, for example, right? So it's a good medium kind of in the middle. That's why I put like coupon and like cashback in the front. And then we kind of moved into liquidation, and then we moved into retail sites and bulk sites, because it's one of those middle ones and those middle grounds that kind of has the benefit of both, right? Beginners can do it, but you can also do it if you're a little bit more advanced and scale this up too. I still do this all the time, even though I'm also focused on other more scalable ones like books and wholesale.
So this is also something that software is just going to spit out to you as well with these, and this is another one of the more scalable business like we talked about. So I sourced a bunch of these, and obviously I'm not trying to show you my shipping address or my credit card information. So I just constantly flipped a bunch of these, as you'll see here. It's more typical that you'll see this in the bulk and retail sites when you just get a bunch and then you flip a bunch at once. So $9.99 for each unit roughly, right here with the Call of Duty Black Ops, ended up selling them all back on Amazon for roughly $23. Sometimes this changes if the buy box price changes, but it looks like I flipped all these for the same rough margin, okay? Now here's another example, Darksiders 3, $4.99 for this one, ended up selling them all roughly back online. Here's an example of buy box changing a little bit, so $25 is what I sold it for, and then it slightly dropped to 24, and I sold a few more at $24, okay? So next one, same rough thing, right? $7.99 for Dynasty Warriors. Ended up flipping them back online. So on Amazon, so $19.99, $17.49, $17, and you get the picture, okay? Now, next one right here, $25. So this one's a little bit more. And typically speaking, I actually sold a bunch of these up at like 60 for a while, and then they dropped back down to like almost 40. So I think at this point I was still profitable, but not that much. It might have been like a $5 or like a $10 profit margin after fees, because obviously you're paying Amazon fees, or you're paying eBay fees, or you're paying, Poshmark fees and Mercari fees. And that's something I talk about in droves on how to make sure that you're profitable regardless of the actual marketplace, but just something to keep in mind. So originally sold these for about 60, and then somebody tanked the buy box price, and that can happen every once in a while. Obviously there are certain things that you can do to, kind of account for that and kind of anticipate that, but it is going to happen to the best of us from time to time. So didn't make as good of a profit margin down here, but still made a margin on these. Here's another example of one that's an Eddie Bauer backpack. So I sourced all these for $10 roughly, ended up selling them all back for $24.20. Then the buy box price actually went up to $25, and then it looks like it went back down a little bit to $23.85. So pretty solid profit margin right there as well.
So the wholesale business model is very, very similar to like the books in a lot of ways, although you're actually dealing with wholesale suppliers. So same thing, I use the software to source these, right? So basically what you're doing is you're signing up for wholesale suppliers. You're going to use the software to source through all these individual wholesale suppliers, and same thing, right? It's going to compare those prices with the actual price on Amazon, and then you're going to make an educated decision based on what the software tells you on certain things that you're going to purchase, how many of them, etc., etc. Now, just like the books, it's, you need a lot of money essentially to throw into this, so I wouldn't get started initially with anything less than $1,000, but one of the benefits is you can multiply your money very, very fast, because the brands that you're going to be selling are selling very quickly and have high demands on Amazon. So this is more geared towards people that are more serious and a little bit more focused on the more scalable side of it and want to see the returns on their money, even if they're spending, $1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 sometimes, right? Your margins might be a little bit lower, right? So if you're spending like $1,000, for example, you might only have like a 35% margin, right? Or a 30% margin, but your margin and your money is going to multiply quickly and you can scale that way, okay?
Now, obviously with wholesale, it's a little bit more scalable. It is the most scalable in my opinion. That's one of the benefits of it. Although with wholesale, a lot of times, like a lot of the products that I'm sourcing wholesale are ones that I'm into a little bit more long-term, right? So I'm not buying like 5 of that unit. I'm not buying like 10 of that unit. I'm probably buying like 50 or 100, or it's even like a replenishable item that I continuously purchase for that reason, okay? And so for that reason, I'm not actually going to share the wholesale listings that I purchase because I don't necessarily want to share the exact products. That said, I do have an entire 76 vetted wholesale supplier list that comes to my Online Arbitrage Pro course. It obviously covers how to actually source from them, so it'll give you countless examples that I'm sourcing. In that actual course, it'll give you countless examples of how you can source and plenty of tutorials on the software that you can use to automate the sourcing and do all the sourcing for you, the software that you can utilize to automate a lot of the inventory management, so you can literally just focus on the sourcing and then reinvesting your profits and focus on scaling.
So as you can see, there are several different ways that you can make money reselling products online. But you need to make sure that you find the right one that works with your current schedule, goals, and situation. So if you want to be able to make money reselling products right from the comfort of your own home, I created an entire 30-hour course that will walk you through all of these specific business models step by step. You can scale this up to a full-time income and work for yourself if you want, just like I do, or you can simply use it to make some extra side money every month to help you pay your bills or set some extra side money aside for college or whatever. Now, I usually sell Online Arbitrage Pro for $7.95, but because you watch this entire case study, I'm gonna let you in for half price. So that's just $3.97 today. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, there's a hidden button there to enroll for 50% off. Let me tell you why I've hidden the button. I've hidden it to weed out the serious people from the dabblers. I know the information in the course will help you make money over and over and over again. But I want to spend my time helping people who are ready to help themselves. The truth is, paying for the course will help you. It'll help you for 3 main reasons. First and foremost, you'll be locking down a skill that you can always use to multiply your money and make more money from home. Number 2, you'll be getting access to over 30 hours of sourcing tutorials, 230 lectures, hundreds of websites and suppliers to source from that I've personally vetted, personal mentorship from me, and a private Facebook group with other successful OA sellers. And number 3, and perhaps the most important, you'll have some skin in the game. See, I used to give away free trials for the last version of Online Arbitrage Pro. I thought it was a great idea. I'd let students in free for 30 days, make them some initial money, and then once they saw just how good the course was, well, they jumped through hoops to actually buy it in full. I was that confident in the material and the results that I could get people if they would just spend the time to learn the information. But all that did was attract the wrong people. It attracted people that were looking for handouts and freebies, and they took it for granted because they didn't actually have to give up anything to enroll. They didn't take the course seriously, and because of that, they didn't get any results. I've compared the results and looked at the analytics from students who paid for the course and the results of students that got in with free trials, and there's literally no comparison. Often those free students wouldn't get more than a few % of the way through the course, let alone actually even applying something. So in order to succeed with anything like this, trust me, you need some skin in the game. By spending some money on this program, you will succeed. You'll have that skin in the game, and therefore you'll want to make sure that you get your money's worth. That's human nature. And because of that, you'll actually go through the lectures and consume the information. Then you'll apply it, and you will see that it works. I've helped hundreds of people to do this already, all of whom you'll meet in the private Facebook group that comes exclusively with this course. I'll be on standby, not just to help answer any questions you might have, but to make sure that you succeed. So if you're ready to bet on yourself and you see the value in investing in yourself now to lock down a skill that will help you make more money over the months and years to come right from your house, like I sit here and talk to you today,
Enroll today. Scroll to the bottom of the page and click the hidden button to enroll in Online Arbitrage Pro for just $397. The course is constantly improving, so act now before the price goes up. Hope to see you in there.